The Arizona Cardinals are in serious trouble as a franchise, and it's more than Kyler Murray unfollowing them on social media a couple of days ago and deleting his posts, because that's more often than not something that can be worked out, and it may be something as simple as he wants an extension, and based on what they've told him, it's not happening at the moment, or they may be very far off in negotiations. Of course, it could also be he simply wants out of Arizona, but we are not going to focus on that in today's video. There's a lot of branches to this tree of the Arizona Cardinals in trouble tree, and that's really a minor one in all of this. And we're going to break everything down as it goes back a few years, so without further ado, let's begin. Now, full disclosure, I realize there will probably be a lot of comments like, oh, is every team in trouble, or something in this general area, and the short answer is no. But Arizona specifically 3 years ago hired a head coach that, forget about the whole knowing Sean McVay joke and the, oh, I had dinner with McVay one time, and you see all that with Zach Taylor of Cincinnati when he was hired, like, who is this guy? The Packers with Matt LaFleur, and you see that now with the Vikings and the hiring of Kevin O'Connell. But with Cliff, this wasn't a coach who had tremendous success and who was a national championship winning head coach in college, making the jump to the NFL. This was a coach, right, wrong, or indifferent, that could not win in college with Patrick Mahomes. This was a team head coached by Cliff and quarterbacked by one of the best we have in the NFL right now, and of course there's a lot more to it than just these two simple facts, but they lost to teams like Arizona State, Kansas State, and got the brakes beat off of them by 31 points at home against West Virginia, and in Mahomes' second to last college football game ever, lost 66-10 to Iowa State. My point is, Cliff is not a consistently winning head coach, and over time, that has more than been proven. Cliff had a 35-40 lifetime record at Texas Tech, and in 3 seasons as the Arizona Cardinals head coach, has a record of 24-24-1, which, while I am criticizing Cliff, to at least be fair to him, the Cardinals had the number 1 overall draft pick in 2019, and he had a rookie quarterback, so inevitably the first year, which is also at this point 33% of his NFL record right now, would and should naturally look, not good on the whole record part. However, since then, it's been nothing short of excitement followed by extreme disappointment, and that's a reason why the Cardinals are in trouble. They started out 2020 6-3 and finished 8-8 and missed the playoffs, while the Bears, who were led by a combination of Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, made the playoffs over them. And guys, I'm not going to dive into that because that's horrible. But 2021 was even worse, as they were 10-2 at a point and then finished the year 11-6, and not surprisingly, with the second half of the season choke artist, that is Cliff Kingsbury, lost their only playoff game to the Rams and were smoked at that with a score of 34-11. And really the only thing I think you can justify with the Cardinals' postseason loss, if you're a Cardinals fan and kind of cling on to some sort of hope, is to say to yourself, at least we lost to the team that went to the Super Bowl. But within that loss, they looked horrible, and it was truly one of the worst postseason games we had in the entire 2021 playoffs. And as I record this Thursday, the Super Bowl has obviously not been played yet, so here's to hoping the Super Bowl is closer than 23 points. Anyways, my point is down the stretch, the final 6 games of the regular season in 2021, where they went 1-5, their only win was against the Cowboys, which is a team that very much has their own problems in their own ways. Oh, and by the way, the Cardinals also got smoked by the Lions, who only had 1 win at the time, and they were smoked by 3 scores within this collapse. And if having these problems isn't enough, with what I'm sure is turmoil within the locker room of whenever they lose a game past what's probably the Week 10 area, and the inevitable thought within the locker room of, oh great, here we go again in playing in one of the best divisions, if not the best division in all of football. The Rams have been to the Super Bowl in 2 of the past 4 years, and San Francisco has been to the NFC Championship game in 2 of the past 3 years, and you honestly can argue in the case for them that the only reason they didn't go all 3 years was because of the sheer amount of injuries they had in 2020. And they made it there with a quarterback who is not great or top 5 or top 10 by any means in Jimmy Garoppolo, and have a player who teams will fear a lot more than Jimmy G over the past few years in Trey Lance. because unlike Jimmy, they will always have to account for Trey's ability to run, which is something they simply did not have to account for when playing the 49ers over the past few years. And it's not an exaggeration to say we could have the NFC West represent the NFC in the Super Bowl for what will be 5 out of the past 6 years when it comes to next year at this point in time, dating back to 2018 when the Rams lost to the Patriots. And the only time the NFC West did not represent the Super Bowl over the past 4 years is when it was represented by none other than the GOAT himself, Tom Brady and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Cardinals are at this point known to be second half choke artists, while the 49ers and Rams are consistently two of the top teams in the entire league. Over the final 6 games the Cardinals played, so starting with the Monday night loss to the Rams and including the playoff loss against the Rams, Arizona averaged just 19.5 points per game, while during their 6-0 start to the 2021 season, averaged a whopping 32.3 per game. This goes back to the concept of teams figure out Cliff Kingsbury each and every year, and by the time Cliff Kingsbury coached teams roll to the end of each and every season, they are, by pretty much every definition, kicking it to the finish line on fumes. And if all of these problems aren't enough, the Cardinals have problems on their own roster. Wide receiver AJ Green is a free agent after having a quiet but productive season at 33 years old. And when I say quiet but productive, I just feel like you really didn't hear a lot about AJ Green throughout the entire 2021 regular season, yet he still finished with nearly 850 yards. And obviously the question will be, do you want to retain him? And by the way, AJ will be 34 at the start of the season. Or do you want to take a shot at someone in the draft and someone who is substantially younger and what will also, in addition, equate to being cheaper? They will also have questions to answer for their pass rush, as we have heard for what seems like a while now. Chandler Jones once out of the desert, and he is now an unrestricted free agent. They let veteran corner Patrick Peterson walk this past offseason, and I would honestly expect them to do the same with Chandler this year. And JJ Watt is expected to be back on the second and final year of his contract, and he will also be 33 years old at the start of next season. And for as great of a person JJ is, he cannot be counted on to play a full season at this point in his career. He has played a full season just twice since 2015, and at 33 is not getting any younger. So again, we go back to the title of the Arizona Cardinals being in serious trouble, and it is a lot more than having a head coach who is notorious for his team collapsing in the second halves of seasons. Christian Kirk, James Conner after having a huge bounce-back season, Chase Edmonds, Zach Ertz, and the aforementioned AJ Green are all free agents this year, and on top of it, their quarterback is unhappy and also would want a contract extension. And while admittedly I do like Rondale Moore and I think he can become a productive player, I don't think he's ready to basically step into this DeAndre Hopkins 2.0 role and catch 110 passes and be, that guy. And another thing to watch in 2022 will be DeAndre Hopkins himself after he turned in what was his least productive year from a per-game basis since his rookie season, as Hopkins played in 10 games and averaged just 57 yards per game, finishing the year with 572 yards on 42 receptions. Now, credit to him, he did have 8 touchdowns, so if there's a DeAndre Hopkins fan watching this, ready to defend him, there's your acknowledgement. He had 8 touchdowns, that's a very good year in terms of that aspect. But if all of those free agents walk, and I would imagine a few of them do, especially James Conner, who after a 1-year turnaround will understandably be looking to get paid, opposing defenses going against the Cardinals would have an even easier time as they could solely focus on stopping DeAndre Hopkins and basically say to Rondale Moore, here's one-on-one coverage every single play, prove you are the guy, and beat us. I honestly don't know where you go at this point if you're the Cardinals, because within all of this, when I was recording this morning, there was a report that came out that Kyler Murray will supposedly ask for $50 to $55 million per year, and while I'm admittedly not the biggest Kyler Murray fan in the world, there is absolutely zero shot I would pay him that type of money if I were an NFL GM, and I don't know how you could possibly justify paying him that much either. You have an unhappy quarterback, a head coach that has proven it now won, but now back-to-back seasons who doesn't win games at the end of the year because teams figure him out by year end, and the question is now, how do you fill in all of the holes on this roster while also not being in a great salary cap situation, while competing with two of the best teams in all of football football within your division. 2022 will 100% be a make or break year for both Cliff Kingsbury and general manager Steve Keim, and I am eager to see how they attack the upcoming offseason. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it would truly mean the world. And until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.